Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name is Camel, and more importantly, welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Detective series, a series in which we investigate, curate, speculate, hypothesize, theorize, and quite often simply highlight and discuss cool, interesting, and hidden things that can be found within the Elder Scrolls games. Be sure to hit up my social medias, links to them can be found down in the description along with other Elder Scrolls Detective video links, the likes of which you should definitely check out after this video, as today's investigation entails the uncovering of umbral experiments, the heart of which aiming to unlock, discover, and fulfill one's deeper and darker desires. We mortals all have lusts, interests, inner drawings that pull us with the ebb and flow of our tidal temptations. Some choose to dip their toes testingly into the darker waters, while some choose to dive into the abyssal deep and embrace their inner nature and wantings regardless of the costs. We will discover that there are some in Skyrim who hold the fulfillment of their calling void of the uttermost import, willing to leave a burning wake of pandemonium behind them as long as within their souls a wholeness, a completion of the ever-hungry circle that subconsciously controls them has been turned, as in today's tale, delving into one's darkest desires reigns supreme. So to begin, geography. Just an impressive stone's throw southwest of the ancient city Windhelm, there is a ruined fortress. Hidden by pendulous tors and tall pines, the cobbled castle of Morvenskar sits, seemingly well guarded by necromancers, but in fact they are only mages, and they are probably drunk. Don't let their frequent patrols fool you, as we have many reasons to believe that these spell chuckers are inebriated, intoxicated, off of unholy elixirs such as wine. Clear signs of revelry and drunken debauchery lay scattered around the exterior of Morvenskar. While drinking is not uncommon in Skyrim, flipped tables, thrown chairs, tankards littered on the floor like pig feed is not exactly a common sight, especially among what we can only conclude are a group of mages. Mages whose lifestyles are generally very reserved and arcane. A drunk group of bandits and thugs, sure, but a large-scale coven of wizards and witches binging on fermented goods like it's spring break in Skyrim? Not something we would ever expect to see. It's a strange sight indeed, although there may be something more structured behind it. For now though, let's head inside the fortress itself. As soon as we enter, we'll notice that Morvenskar has a lighting scheme fit for a blind man. It's one of the darkest and dankest dungeons that I've been to for quite some time, and believe you me, I've been to some. It's almost as if the owners are trying to hide the exorbitant amount of empty wine bottles cluttering the hallways, walkways, and passageways of this ruin. And while wine is all fun and games, there are a number of skulls lazily scattered about, so someone has not been having so much fun here. To the left of the entrance, there is a large circular room. This would appear to be Morvenskar's kitchen. Wood for the fires, tables, plates, kegs full of booze, food, wine, a nice big fire with a roasting pot. Everything a good old kitchen should have. It's a messy kitchen, but it seems to be frequently used by a sizable amount of people. Oh, and look! Buckets full of wine. Now further off to the right of the entrance, we will hear some clinking and banging. As we approach the doorway from which this noise emanates, we can overhear two mages having a rather interesting conversation. Listen closely.
They drink all day and night, and what do?
You work the forge.
Why do they need me to do this? We use magic, not weapons. I swear, they're making me do this for a laugh. At least I'm not dealing with the prisoners down below.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about what goes on down there.
I bet Naris gets a kick out of it. Nasty fella he is.
You'd better quiet down before you end up there. Then I'd have to work the forge.
Ooh, very juicy dialogue there. First of all, there is apparently a group referred to as they who drink all day and night. Well, this would explain the excess of wine bottles. It still doesn't explain why they are drinking all day and night. Also, apparently, there are prisoners down below who are treated in a fashion that even these mages don't agree with. And there is someone called Naris who supposedly enjoys treating said prisoners in whatever questionable way they are being treated. And although irrelevant to the investigation, it is pretty weird to have a reluctant mage work the forge. And for those who care, the smithing skill book SKYRIM's Heart of Aniqua can be found on the table, along with some ore and ingots next to the forge. There is also a bookcase in this room which is filled with wine bottles instead of books, more of which can be found clogging the floor of the room. Classic drunkards. The next natural stage of this investigation is to head downstairs, find the booze heads, and check out what's going on with these prisoners. So, after descending the stairs, we'll be met by a lengthy hallway at the end of which is a brazier and more stairs, ending with a door. Through this door, another hallway in which is a table covered with wine, tankards, and gold. Perhaps some have paid to be here, drink away into the night, and enjoy the less responsible merriments of the world. Anyway, this hallway eventually leads out into a large room, and might I add, a strangely shaped room. It's got a wedge shape to it, with crumbling yet impending pillars filling it. The main feature would be this double staircase leading up to a higher platform, atop which are two smaller staircases, each leading to chairs positioned and presented as thrones. The nameless leader of these mages sits on the higher chair, accompanied by one of his lackeys. The two mages upstairs did mention someone called Naris. Confusingly though, this seemingly head honcho mage is not Naris. Anyway, another obscure factor of this room is the uncommon population of collected troll skulls. While I cannot draw any parallels between the happenings of Morvenskar and trolls, or more specifically troll skulls, it's an observation that I thought should be highlighted. Down on the lower level, there are more mages sitting, eating, drinking, partaking in revelry and a distinct lack of responsibility or order. Again, we see furniture scattered about, tankards and empty wine bottles peppered like trophies of a revelry champion. Now, before we delve deeper into the blurred bowels of Morvenskar, something very important needs to be pointed out, which I'm going to do right now. During the Daedric quest, A Night to Remember, Morvenskar is actually the final location that you are led to. As you enter this very room, a portal will open atop the stairs. This will take us to the Misty Grove, which is one of the myriad realms of revelry, which is a pocket plane of oblivion belonging to none other than Sanguine, the Daedric prince of hedonistic revelry, debauchery, and passionate indulgences of darker natures. Well, that sure as hell explains all the drinking and partying of Morvenskar, a fortress full of sanguine worshippers, praising their Daedric lord by drinking, kicking up a loud and stormy mess in the process. All a bit of fun and games in the name of Sanguine. I mean, even during Sanguine's quest, he has you marry a hag, raven, steal a goat, sell that goat to a giant, you get blind drunk. Hell, you even trash the Temple of Dibella. Sanguine has you do all these cheeky tasks of tomfoolery. They inflict little harm, and at the end of the day, it's just a bit of mischief. Classic Sanguine. But just how far are some willing to go? Drinking beyond reasoned action and making a mess is one thing. What if one has genuinely darker desires? Well, surely Sanguine would support the exploration of these darker desires, would he not? And how dark do they go? Fittingly, the deeper into Morvenskar we go, the darker the desires we will uncover. Offshooting the next hallway, we can find 2 bedrooms, one with 2 beds and a boring table, the next has an enchanting table, although with no signs of anything having been enchanted. In this very same room, a mage can be found sleeping off what I can only imagine to be a hangover. Next to the bed is a well-stocked bookshelf with text covering all manner of topics, but nothing stands out. Following the passageways further into the stone skeletal system of Morvenskar, we'll find a booby-trapped hallway heavily laden with barrels of what I can only assume to be wine. Gotta keep all the drinks somewhere, and right here seems like the most likely place in Morvenskar. In this same hallway, there is somewhat of a scribe sitting guarding the wine stocks, scribbling away on some paper. Sadly, when killed, he yields no notes or anything of the sort, just standard mage loot. Boo, that's boring. And on a similar note, behind him there is a small shelf with some random books and once again, for no particular reason, a troll skull. Anyway, moving forward, literally, further down the same hallway, there is a room with an open door, but before we check it out, if we turn to the left, we can find another mage patrolling the area. Further up, we'll find a set of stairs and these rising hallways, which lead to a door that loops back to the entrance of the dungeon, so going up there will yield nothing of interest that we don't already know and nothing that we haven't already seen. So, we're gonna stay down here, where we can find another bookshelf, again while boasting a healthy array of readings, nothing of interest. But there is a table with a dagger sticking out of it, a whole lot of blood and a small purse of gold. Again, with the gold, we saw some gold earlier on in the dungeon of Morvenskar, and I find it interesting and makes me think that people may be paying to come to Morvenskar and experience their darker delights in life, which by the looks of this are very dark delights indeed, given the dagger and the blood. Now keep this payoff in mind as we venture on, as now it is time to explore the open room here. As we can see straight away, there are 3 bedrolls, nicely laid out, roughly next to each other, giving the room a very casual and approachable feel. This sense of homeliness and fun is reinforced by nothing other than a shrine to Dibella, the Adric, divine of love, beauty, and most importantly, affection. Oh yes, ooh la la, it would seem this room is set up specifically for adult indulgences. Given there is 3 bedrolls, I would assume it can and has been designed to host 2 or more guests at any given time. As things start getting heated in here, let's see what else is in this room before our vision is fogged with the sauciness of Sanguine. Oh actually, let's wait a minute. There's a shrine to Dibella in here. Yet, in Morvenskar, there is also a portal to Sanguine's realm. While Dibella didn't choose to put this shrine here, strange that worshippers of Sanguine would put a shrine to Dibella in the same place they worship Sanguine. Surely the spheres of Sanguine has got them covered with the indulgences of darker desires. There's no need for a shrine to Dibella. Sanguine's got it covered. You would think anyway, but apparently there's something else going on here. And I did look into it. The relationship between Dibella and Sanguine. Sadly, literally, nothing can be found in regards to the Adra Dibella and the Daedra Sanguine having any connection at any point ever in the history of the Elder Scrolls. With that said, I did notice this. In the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, Sanguine is holding a golden cane, shaped like a naked woman. His cane in the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall looks uncannily familiar to the statues of Dibella that we can find in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now there's nothing concrete here, just a simple observation made by a simple detective. An observation that at least got my eyebrows dancing. So anyway, back on track. We've got a room made for love. Makes sense, there's a shrine to Dibella in here. But is this a room for love? Well, I don't think so. And neither will you in a second, as in the corner, there is a table with some wine on it. Fair enough. have a few swigs before the action starts, you know what I'm saying? But what about these? What about these leather strips? Leather strips for tying people up. People being tied up in a room of R-rated deviances. Now, of course, and I wholeheartedly endorse this, people can partake in bondage without it being too dark of a desire. While it might be considered something like kinky, I wouldn't consider it dark. But let's not forget that there are apparently prisoners down here being treated in ways that the other mages do not agree with. So finding leather strips in a room that has quite clearly been designed for intimate interactions doesn't make me think, oh, this couple's being nice and cute and kinky. It makes me think, who has been tied up against their will in this room? Making this even more haunting though, on another side table in this very same room, there is a potion of invisibility. Oh boy. So we've got an invisible dude and a room full of tied up prisoners with a shrine to Debella and a bunch of bedrolls. While I understand we're not all mathematicians, we can all put 2 and 2 together here. And I'm sure that in the process of turning invisible and filling up some unwanting guests, things would probably get worse and worse, and the event would unfold into unspeakable things happening to these tied up victims. For lack of a better term, this would appear to be Skyrim's Red Room, where one can participate in their darkest desires. Desires that are far too dark for the light of the divines. But you know what is interesting? We still have no signs or mention of this mysterious Naris and the prisoners that we heard murmurs of from the mouths of the mages upstairs at the forge. Strange indeed. Well, there is one last pocket to be explored within this subterranean labyrinth of debaucherous explorations. Just outside this steamy room is a locked door. There is no key. If you wish to see what's beyond it, you'll have no other choice than to lockpick it. Once we do, be sure to brace yourself as we descend.
Ah, the sweet smell of burnt flesh. Nothing better, really. They die too quickly. Maybe I'll try and hold off on the paralysis next time. Give me more of a moving target. Good practice.
Well, looks like we found Norris. And I think we also found the prisoners. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Naris the Wicked, an ultimate mage who has been toying with his victims. Inside the gated cell in front of him are a pile of burning corpses, like live pigs locked in a scorching pen, roasted alive, all to fulfill the passionate desires of a darker nature. Hauntingly, this would also appear to be Skyrim's Red Room, although for an entirely different reason, as this shrine to Sanguine is sadly, suitably sanguineous. For the layman, it's painted with blood. Pulling back for a second, there is a bookcase next to Naris. On it is the Destruction Skill Book, The Mystery of Talara, Book 3. Rather appropriately, there is a battle mage in this book that prefers the use of fire magic. And on the ground next to Naris, well, quite frankly, I think we've found what the smith upstairs was being forced to make. Iron cages to lock and hang prisoners. On this table next to Naris, there is a paralysis poison, obviously the elixir of the end for the prisoners, being administered and rendering the poor souls ever more helpless against the will of this ultimate Naris, an explorer in the further reaches of experience, delving boldly into the darkest corners of pleasure. Naris, who fondled tied-up prisoners while he was invisible, then having them caged like swine, only to be paralyzed, unable to move as they are cooked alive. And if that isn't bad enough, Naris even murmurs to himself the next time he'll lay off on the paralysis poison so the prisoners can run around in this stone-walled oven, so that when he immolates the next group of victims, he'll have a bit more fun as they helplessly attempt to survive his wall of flame. It'll be like an artwork, flailing bodies with molten flesh falling off their bones, screams drowned out by the thick smoky haze of rendered flesh. A dream for Naris, a passionate, dark desire, molesting prisoners, roasting them alive as they lie helpless locked in a cage. I gotta say it, call me a racist Nord, but it's always these Altmas getting up to this kind of stuff, every time. Anyway, I must admit, Naris the Wicked is an excellent example of the darker origins that the Elder Scrolls is rooted in. When we think of Sanguine, we think of his quest having a few too many, stealing a goat, marrying a hagraven. I mean, hey, who doesn't do that every now and then? No one? Alright. Well, back to Sanguine, a bit of backtracking, a hangover, and a few laughs later. Haha, that's our good old Sanguine. This case of Morvenskar, however, is an ironically sobering reminder that Sanguine isn't all about booze-fueled nights. He supports the exploration of all dark desires, including the deeply immoral and forceful adult acts performed on unwilling prisoners, only ending in them being caged and cooked alive for the mere amusement of Naris the Wicked, and whoever else is paying to experience such erotic ecstasies of damnation and despair. So if you are sick and twisted, then I do hope that you did enjoy the journey, the discovery, and the highlighting of Sanguine's darker side and his disciples. Capturing prisoners, tying them up, turning yourself invisible, then molesting them, paralyzing them, locking them in cages, and burning them alive, reveling in the sweet scent of their scorched flesh. Some desires are best left unexplored, so be sure to let myself and others know what your theories and conclusions are to whether or not Sanguine would actually approve of such desire-based exploration. Also, is there a connection between Sanguine and Dibella? While I couldn't find any cold hard cases of it, I mean, one must admit that their realms definitely cross over at some points. If you do have any information, facts, evidence, speculation, theories, or anything to do with Morvenskar and its tenants, be sure to leave those ideas down below. And if you do have any ideas for something that should be covered in an Elder Scrolls Detective series video, be sure to let me know. I'll look into whatever strange and wonderful topics you present. If you did enjoy this video, please do me a kindness and leave a like. It makes the video look good. Be sure to leave your comments with Elder Scrolls Detective ideas and your theories about Morvenskar, Naris, and Sanguine. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos similar to this one, please subscribe. It helps me know that people enjoy these kind of videos and in the long run will result in more of them. When you do subscribe, be sure to click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button right here on YouTube so that you are notified when new Elder Scrolls Detective videos are uploaded. Now, other Elder Scrolls Detective video links can be found down in the description of this very video. Down there are also links to my social medias. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, and if you'd like to support the channel in a more personal way, you can become a heroic patron on, of course, Patreon. As I'm sure you know, all of my time and energy goes into making these videos that I create for you to enjoy. So your support is most appreciated and welcomed in any and all forms. Feel free to check out the playlist on screen. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you very shortly in the next video, or even sooner, I'll see you in the dungeons of Morvenskar. See you there soon. Just to be clear, I'll see you, you won't see me.